Dr. Tess Lawrie, could I first ask what was your reaction when during COVID crisis your own country, United Kingdom, imposed very harsh measures like lockdowns and vaccine mandates as a cure and solution for spreading of flu-like virus?
Hi, Marcus. Well, I was very concerned because there was no clear reason, no clear evidence to suggest that there was the need for a state of emergency based on a COVID so-called pandemic. And secondly, because the interventions that they were suggesting were not evidence-based. There was no evidence to support the use of lockdowns. There was no evidence to support the use of masking. And there was no evidence to support the use of the experimental GMO injections that were rolled out in the guise of vaccines.
Absolutely. As a doctor yourself, what is your take? Why there was, should I put, so moderate reaction of doctors and medical professionals for such measures?
Well, it was very concerning the way that the governments around the world were not prepared to listen to independent doctors and scientists' concerns. And, it was clear that there was something unusual going on with the way that all governments around the world acted in what they called lockstep, and that the instructions seemed to be coming from the World Health Organization. And most countries, especially Western countries, have never really paid attention to the recommendations of the World Health Organization, and then suddenly everyone is dancing to the same tune. So this was very concerning, and the way that they were silencing doctors and scientists who had a different point of view and perspective that they wished to share, particularly with reference to the experimental nature of the COVID-19 GMO injections. For me as a research scientist, I'm a medical doctor and a research consultant, and I worked as an external consultant to the World Health Organization since 2012, and my role was to evaluate bodies of evidence, to synthesize it, and then present it to panels of stakeholders and help them reach a recommendation, whether to recommend something or not. And it was clear when COVID came along and they were wanting to promote these new mRNA-style vaccines, that there wasn't the body of literature to support this new technology. So it was obviously very concerning then that they wished to roll it out to billions of people, because one of the most concerning aspects of this technology is the fact that it's GMO, it's gene-based therapy, which obviously has the potential to change people's the genome of the human being. Anything like this requires many, many years of study to be proven safe. So what was even more concerning was the fact that the authorities around the world and people with no scientific expertise either were saying safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective, almost to brainwash people and convince them to take or deceive people into taking these injections when there simply wasn't the evidence to support that they were effective or safe, especially safe. And now we're seeing the consequences of that with so many people reporting illness and disease and even death after receiving the COVID-19 GMO injections.
Why is that WHO gained such an influence during the COVID crisis?
Well, what we can see now is, especially with these negotiations taking place to increase the power of the World Health Organization and UN structures, is that this is actually the end game in the creation of a one world government. So what we're seeing is a globalist coup. And it's yet to be revealed really the true process that led to the COVID-19 chapter. And, there is indication that it is something that was pre-planned in order to achieve this great reset, which is a new world order or one world government. And so it's really important that everybody realizes, that everybody knows that there's this concentration of power, this attempted concentration of power in the World Health Organization, and that this new world order or one world government is being attempted to be manifest through a health security agenda. And what I would say in the very first instance is that we need to look at accountability of not just the organizations, but of the individuals involved during the COVID chapter, which is why today is actually a very significant day. We have the World Council for Health representing many countries around the world and representing the world's people have delivered notices of liability to 4 individuals at the World Health Organization. It's by far not comprehensive because obviously there are many, many people who are complicit in the deception of the COVID chapter. But this is a start of holding individuals to account, not just in their role as the the Director General of the World Health Organization or the COVID technical team lead or the chief scientist, not just in their capacities in their work role, but in their roles as a human being, as a man or woman on this earth. With children or not, but as a fellow human being, holding them to account, because no one is above the law and we are all responsible for our actions.
Is in United Kingdom right now happening something in this direction, that people are fighting back and gaining again their rights?
We definitely have a massive groundswell. It's really the grassroots people coming together and saying, we will not tolerate this. We will not tolerate the violation of human rights and freedoms, and we will not tolerate this outsourcing of power, this concentration of power in an unelected supranational organization that is basically puppeteered by globalist forces. And just so that people are aware, the WHO only controls 20% of its budget. 80% comes from voluntary contributions from globalist organizations and individuals that have ulterior motives and profit motives. So, he who pays the piper calls the tune, which is why we're seeing this absolute explosion of these new medical GMO technologies, injections in the form of vaccines or in guise of vaccines, because it's like printing money. They say they can make them in 100 days, no safety checks or anything needed, and they're promising 500 new vaccines by 2030.
Could you also summarize what are the main issues with changing World Health Organization's new pandemic treaty and international health regulations?
Well, there are many issues, but number one is the endorsement and support for gain-of-function research. Now, gain-of-function research is basically research for weapons, and they have this plan to encourage countries to source pathogens and then put them in a pathogen bank as such that the WHO will administer and share. So, as just an ordinary human being, a woman, mother, doctor, I know that I represent the feelings of many people. We don't want dangerous bugs developed for war, and we don't want dangerous bugs shared around the world for the interest, for any reason. So that is one reason. The other is this idea or notion that the WHO should be the purveyor of science and the owner of science, and that they should hold the narrative on science and declare what science is, and then any other opinion, experience, evidence is considered misinformation or disinformation. So it's the freedom of speech is at great risk, the freedom of dissent, the right to disagree and discuss it and have those conversations is at great risk. So those are 2 points. The other is, of course, the plan that in another pandemic or public health emergency of international concern, the WHO would then, Director General would have the authority to declare such a pandemic and then declare what interventions are needed, who must be locked down, quarantined, digital certificates, digital IDs to be able to go from here to there. The digital ID is of great concern. So the mandating of interventions of injections that are not properly tested, so there's so many levels. It affects health, sovereignty, and our freedoms, fundamental freedoms, and we really must say no.
Dr. Tess Lawrie, thank you for your work and thank you for this interview.
Thank you very much, Marcus. It's been a pleasure.